Yo guys, it's JJ here, and today I'm taking you guys. Oh Lord have mercy, let me retake that. Yo guys, what's going on? It's JJ here, and today I'm going to be taking you through a beat that I made out to be suited for Lil Baby, 4PF, and even its potential, Lamborghini Boy album, because to be honest, we're all waiting for it, but without further ado, let's just get straight into this joint. Firstly, enough. Oh my god. Okay. Firstly, we got ourselves a plugin called Piano V2, my go-to piano plugin. And we're using a preset called Japanese Medium Room. Then what I did was I came up with this little melody here that repeats every bar. However, as you guys see, there's a root note C, right? But it changes down to a G sharp and then down to a G. And that's essentially, in my opinion, how these 4PF beats kind of work. You come up with a nice melody, however, you always change the root note of it. You can do the same with guitars, other like bells even, and you'll still get that 4PF vibe or Lil Baby vibe. So that's what I did. And then I clicked Alt R just to randomize the velocities, make it sound a bit more human. This is what the melody sounds like. And that's the melody. And you see what I'm saying? Just because of that small root note change, it gives it that 4PF vibe. And as you can see, we're making good use of all these semitone notes, because it just gives it that nice dark vibe. And that's all you need. As for effects, we got ourselves a little EQ. I just took away a few frequencies I didn't like throughout the mids, and then cut off a lot of the highs and the lows. Next up, I got myself RC20. You can't go wrong. Makes it sound vintage. And then some reverb just for a bit of ambience and space. Then I added a very, very slight bit of stereo separation. It's like sub 10%, I'd say. Yeah, 6%. Next up in the melody, we got ourselves Expand 2, and we used a preset called Staccato Down from the Strings Bank, and I really hope I pronounced that correctly, so do not butcher me. And as you can see, we did a very, very similar thing. The root notes follow the exact same pattern as before, and then we just came up with a nice little top line to go with it that repeats, and then I just changed it at the end of the 4 bar just to give it a bit of variation, and it complements the piano really well. Again, with 4PF beats, I'd highly recommend pianos, bells, brass, string, some leads, keys. There's so much you can do when it comes to that kind of stuff. So this is what I made, and then again, Alt R to randomize your velocities, and this is what the melody sounds like. It just gives you that energy. You hear what I'm saying? Like, it's a nice high BPM. We're making sure we're making use of these semitone notes. It sounds amazing. And and for effects, it was very simple. Just an EQ, cutting off frequencies I didn't like, but majority of the lows were taken. And then a bit of reverb, and that was it for this part. Oh, and of course, some stereo separation again, just to make it wider in the mix so it doesn't clash with other sounds. Next up, we got ourselves Expand 2 again, and we're using a different bank, which is the brass and woodwind. And we used a preset called Orchestral Brass. And then all I actually did was I copied and pasted the root notes, as you guys can see, and then added this nice little step up to the, and then added these little 2 other semitone notes, again, just giving it a nice little bit of variation to the melody. And that's all it really was. So this is what the melody sounds like. Now when you hear this, it just screams that aggression, it screams that high pace rap, like it's just perfect, it's perfect. And then for effects, I added an EQ, taking off some highs, some lows, and then just a bit of the mix up here. And then I added some reverb just to make it sound even bigger and more like looming and dark and powerful in the mix. Next up in the melody, we got ourselves a growler move bass from Omnisphere, of course. That's my go-to bass. I think it should be a go-to bass as well for dark beats. And I'll show you the pattern. Literally the pattern, as you guys can see, following the root notes, and that's literally all it is. There is nothing more or less to it. But without further ado, this is what it sounds like. And that's it, folks. I didn't even add any effects to the bass, to be honest. And now, last but not least, we got ourselves a preset called Lead Member, and it's from Serum. It's from the Shinju Presets Volume 2. I hope I didn't butcher that name. And this is all I actually made when it came to the pattern. I just used, again, the semitone notes and just made this nice little pattern. Just a bit of like an accent to the whole melody. But it's a great addition in my opinion. And with all that being said, this is what it sounds like. As for effects, I added an EQ cutting off a lot of the lower frequencies, including some of the mids. And then I added this fruity panomatic with this exact, by using this, the pan, it just makes it sound amazing. It gives it a bit more ear candy with the whole beat going on, and it just does the job amazing. And last but not least, I stereo separated this super wide. It was like 70%, as you guys can see. It just makes it nice and far back in the mix. It's a bit of like an accent, but it just adds more to that 4PF little baby sound. Last but not least, I rendered out all the melodies and took it up 3 semitones, as you guys can see, taking it from a C to a D sharp minor in the melody scale. And as well as that, as you guys can see throughout the whole thing, I rarely play the whole melody together unless it's like a bridge, but you'll hear it all together now. And this is what my melody sounds like. Right guys, that's the melody as a whole together. And when you hear that, it just screams.
Do you have eyes on the target?
Yes, sir.
I was like,
The
this is
person on the
hard.
right.
And I liked it. The melody's so cold, it almost killed me. But let's go on to the drums. Now we're on to the drums. And first of all, we got a snare. As you can see, very basic pattern, but I just added a few more notes out here just to give a bit of variation. Because I'm thinking with Lil Baby's like new albums or new songs coming out, he's going to switch the drums up a bit more. So thought I'd add a little bit more flair to the drums. And this is what the snare pattern sounds like. Next up, we got started a little hi-hat pattern, and I say little, but there's a few things going on. To break it down for you, again, it's essentially a 4-bar loop, but repeated twice for a full 8-bar. All I did was go on magnet, turn it to a quarter, and then I added half-step roll here, and then I added, if I'm not wrong, a quarter-step not roll. This roll was made by accident, but I thought it sounded nice. Then I added a velocity change to this roll. Again, it's a quarter-step roll, little quarter-step roll, and this is another quarter-step roll, but just playing with the velocities, as you guys can see. And with all that being said and shown, this is what the hi-hat sounds like. Next up, we got ourselves, of course, the kick pattern. And as you guys can see, first of all, you always want to click Control A, use that scroller wheel and max your velocities out because you want that kick to be hitting them headphones off your head. As you guys can see, the pattern just repeats itself essentially, apart from a bit of a variation. And this is what the kick sounds like. And of course, to complement the kick, we got ourselves the 808. And as I said for the kick, you want to hit that Control A and always match those velocities. Never, never, never forget that. Apart from where the kick hits, which is same with the 808, I added a few more rolls outside of the kick pattern itself, just to give it that extra oomph in the whole beat. But as you guys can see, this is what the 808 pattern is. And this is what it sounds like. And that's the 808, folks. Now, next up, we got ourselves an open hat pattern that I came up with. Very basic, repeats as you guys can see every 2-bar. And this is what it sounds like. Now, last but not least, I decided to add a nice little snare roll for, let's say, from like the pre-hook to hook, or from like the intro to the hook. And it's very, very basic roll. As you guys can see, this roll repeats itself essentially 4 times, which is very, very not creative, but it sounds good. It sounds good. And then a few in between rolls, and that was really it. But this is what the snare roll sounds like. And with all that being said, this is what the drum pattern sounds like. Hey, and there you got it, folks. You have yourselves the drum pattern, you got yourself the melody sauce, and that's all you need. So, with all that being said, hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz down below. Take it easy.